What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long while. So in my last video I said that I was going to be moving to Florida. Well, we're here, and I did shoot video on the way down. It didn't turn out as great as I wanted, but I can upload it here shortly. And as you might have just got a glimpse, the Saturn Sky has its hardtop. As you can see, it looks pretty darn good. Norm tends to like to put fake carbon fiber stickers underneath the hardtop on top of the light assembly because of the fact that it looks a little weird without it. So I kind of agree. I kind of saw it when he was test fitting without it, and his solution looks pretty decent. As for fit overall, you might notice a little bit here gap. It might just need to be adjusted a little bit. And then you got on both sides, it does this right at the door. But inside, we got some headliner. As you can see, there's some shocks for the rear window because I have the car completely torn apart. Yeah. I should have got a picture of it. When they were test fitting the roof, they were actually standing inside the car because of what I've done. On the passenger side, the emergency release for the deck lid has been relocated. Yeah, you can pull it. You can pull it and she opens. It'll work the same way when you have electric power as popping the deck lid to get into the trunk. Then we also have the fenders. Obviously they haven't been gapped or anything. They're just kind of tightened in to ensure they traveled well, because I have the rest of the front end off. Got a few things going on. Ooh, just saw that. Got that fixed. But a lot's going to be happening. I mean, we reinstalled the L and F. Not really, but it's just sitting on top of the mounts and obviously strapped in. Just made it easier to bring the car down here to Florida. So if you couldn't tell, I just got done changing the differential fluid based off of my clothes. I cut this in for a reason, because I mentioned multiple times that I would talk about my experience ordering from Norm. Well, do I have a story for you? Now, a couple of tips about ordering from Norm. Fenders, hoods, maybe. A lot of the smaller parts he can get out pretty quickly. He also recently moved into his new shop, so that might actually help a lot with my experience that I had. As for my experience, I ordered my hardtop in February of 2018 with an initial promised delivery of April of 2018. When April got there, I just kept waiting for the phone call. Finally, like the last week of April, I called him and he told me that he was running behind and it would be pretty much another couple of months for him to get the hardtop done. So I said, okay, cool. I had read reviews, knew he was going to miss at least the first 2 estimated times, and he missed more than that. Come later on in 2018, like June, July, I ended up calling multiple times, and sometimes it was really easy to get him on the phone, sometimes it wasn't. A lot of times it wasn't, but definitely don't email him. call him. I have better experience getting him on the phone than I do getting him on the computer through email. As like I was saying, I got slated for a deployment at the end of June, 1st of July of 2018. So, I started calling him like, hey, I'm deploying. Am I going to get this before the deployment? Got reassured. He said he was going to end up coming through Kansas out to California, and he would stop by and help me install the hardtop. Well, that didn't happen. I ended up deploying at the end of August, and hadn't heard a single word from him. My life was hectic and busy, so I didn't reach out to him. That's on me. When I got deployed, I reached out via email, got no response. A month later, I reached out again via email and actually requested he at least respond to the email so I know he was getting it. No response. I reached out for the third time in November of 2018 with a pretty harsh email. Pretty much I was very frustrated with him. No communication, nothing coming from him. At that time, I reached out to my credit card company to get the money back that I had put down on this hardtop and the fenders. And it was going to become more complicated because it had been over 60 days. It would involve me actually writing a letter and sending it to the credit card company while I was deployed. I didn't really take the time on my time off to do that. I took it to do other things like school and working out. So I get back. I gave him another month before reaching out again. And when I did, I got promised that he was getting it done. And we're talking, it's 1st of 2019, February-ish, and I am pretty much frustrated with it. I've had it enough because I'm not hearing anything from him. Well, I finally get him on the phone, and we had a discussion. I'm like, look, if you would actually communicate, I wouldn't be as upset. Yeah, it's been a year. I've read reviews of him delivering at 18 months, which was what I thought I was going to have happen. No. He got a promise that it was going to be done by June, and he was headed out to California again, and he was going to swing by and help me install it. That didn't happen. Well, life got busy. Put it on me. So I stopped reaching out, let him do his thing. And then I ended up finding out I had orders to move to Florida. That was October of 2019. End of October. So I reached out 1st of November. Asked him again. I'm like, hey, when's this going to be done? He said it's done. It's painted, which I didn't buy a painted hardtop. I bought a race top. That's what I paid for. A race top, which is supposed to be a little bit lighter. It's not supposed to have the heated rear window, not supposed to have the headliner, and not supposed to be painted. Well, it's not what I ordered. I had a specific purpose for what I ordered. He was trying to make me happy, but again, he wasn't communicating. All he told me he was going to do was paint it. Cool. Whatever, paint it. It's going to get painted or wrapped anyway. So, fast forward to the end of December, 1st of January, reached out to him. And it's like, hey, February 2nd, February 2nd, I'm going to be there. I'm going to have a trailer, the car. Let's get this done. Well, some things, finances wise, didn't pan out, and I didn't have the trailer by February, the 1st of February, which I had already called him and said, hey, I'm not going to make it this weekend, but as soon as I get a trailer, I'm coming up. Well, I didn't get it the 2nd, but I was able to pick up the trailer on the 4th of February. Drove straight up there. Well, drove straight, picked up the car, and then straight up to Indiana where he's at. And I didn't get there that day. My plan was to get there, spend the night, and then see him the next day. I didn't actually get there that day because I had gone to Oklahoma City to pick up the trailer, and then I had to pretty much go back northwest of Wichita to pick up the car from my friend's house, and then go to Indiana. And from Indiana to Wichita is like 10 hours. So I'd been on the road 18, 19 hours that day, and I ended up stopping south of Chicago. So I get up. It's taking me a little bit longer to get there because, well, I didn't have the car in the right position in the trailer, so the trailer was fishtailing. Weather also sucked. So I call him. He tells me to take my time. Well, come to find out, the hardtop wasn't done when I got there. Instead of going off and being livid, I just parked for the course because that's kind of what had been happening. At that point, when he was telling me not to rush and showed up, the hardtop wasn't done. He still had to put these windows in. Obviously test fitting, kind of figured that was going to happen. Minor things like that. It took a lot longer than I expected. I had gotten up 4 hours after going to bed and hit the road. At that point, I had gotten there around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the test fitting, installing the windows, running to get supplies, the things for the top of the brake lights, and then all that. I was at his shop until 7, 8 o'clock at night, and I got there at 2, 3. So you're looking 5, 6 hours to install the hardtop initially. It's pretty easy to pull off and put on. It's that initial test fit to ensure everything's lining up and everything is good. That's what took so long. I get it. But those windows not being installed after being promised that the top was ready, yeah, a little frustrating. Pretty much almost 2 years to the day I got my hardtop. It's pretty good quality. I'm not complaining about the quality. The quality's great. It's just the experience of buying was pretty much bad enough for me personally to second guess ever ordering from him again. Other people have had better experiences. I also found out that this is only the 6th hardtop he has ever made for the Saturn Sky. Maybe if people ordered more hardtops from him, might be pushing them out a little bit quicker, but he's not. So that's my experience, and here's the fluid change. A few things that developed on the trip down is the rear U-joint at the rear end there has gone bad. Here's what it sounds like. Yesterday, when I went to go fill up the truck, come to find out that it has a fuel leak at the lift pump. Also, still got the steering wheel position sensor that is bad. That's going to be hit up on Saturday. The U-joint is also going to be fixed on Saturday. But today, we're going to hit up the rear differential and change out the fluids, because at 200,000 miles, you're supposed to, from what I remember reading, and we're sitting at 192 to 195,000. Don't know if it was done at the last interval should have been done. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And then the front diff, I've still got to find a seal, but it's pretty much the same process, but in the front. So, the camera overheated and then died, and I wasn't able to finish the videoing of that. Got a little bit on the phone, and that's probably where some of that little differences that you saw there were. But pretty much you're supposed to torque it to spec. Tight's tight. No. Start all the bolts by hand and then tighten them down with the impact wrench. I am obviously no professional, and I just have a lot of years of experience working on mechanics of some type, but I am obviously no professional when it comes to working on cars. I am just someone like you. So take everything I do with a grain of salt. I haven't said that in a while. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all next time. Later.